James Vandermaat is catching up with one of the very best administrators this sport has ever seen, and he's with him now.
So much so, Hawley, that they named the museum here after him, the Neil Brown Museum. I am joined by Brownie, Neil Brown himself. Brownie, the encyclopedia of greyhound racing. How are you, mate? What's been happening?
I'm terrific, yeah. What a wonderful night it is. My favourite night of the year, Cup Heats night and the Bold Truce Heats. So really looking forward to them unfolding later in the evening. But yeah, no, I'm great, James.
I want to chat a little bit about the history of the Melbourne Cup and your history of the race itself in just a moment. But before we get to that, and Mr. Spot, who won the first Melbourne Cup that you went to, I'm going to give away your age here, but 55 years ago, Brownie, tell me a little bit about the history of the Sandown Park Greyhound Racing Club, because I didn't know up until a couple of moments ago it was actually over at the horse track once upon a time.
Yes, we started in 1935 and raced over on a site which we leased at the horse racing track. It's a very unique area for greyhound racing here in Victoria because we moved across here in 55, and there was another greyhound track at the end of our car park here on our left-hand side at Greystale Park, which raced in the 30s and 40s and early 50s. So it's been an immense amount of greyhound racing in this area. So no better place than to have a museum right here at our track here at Sandown.
It's a beautiful spot for it. We're right at the 515-metre boxes, the Neil Brown Museum, and you must be so proud to be able to put your name to this, really showcasing the history of greyhound racing.
Well, it's always been a passion of mine, the history, and look, I was absolutely blown away and delighted when the committee informed me that they were going to name it in my honour, and you know, it's a tremendous legacy for my grandkids and you know, my family. So, yeah, look, you know, I love the historical side of the greyhound racing, and, yeah, so to have somewhere to put these artefacts, and we've got continual artefacts and trophies being donated, which we'll be able to rotate here, and it'll always be an ongoing place for people to just have a wander around and catch up with the history of greyhound racing.
I can 100% urge people to get down to the Neil Brown Museum and just go for a little bit of a wander. There's actually right behind us here the tin boxes in which they used to draw the fields, and I think that's just extraordinary to take a look at. We've got Gary Thomas's bookmaking board over there with the 8 greatest greyhounds that you rated. Fernando Bale's in there with Cheltenham Lass and Highly Blessed. But Brownie, you said a moment ago, 55 years, you have not missed a Melbourne Cup. Now, if there is one man who I can come to for a tip in the Melbourne Cup who's got more knowledge, more history behind him, it's you. What does it take to win a Melbourne Cup? And who is the greyhound? Because the punters on racing.com want to know this. Who is the greyhound who's going to claim the Melbourne Cup this year?
Well, I really like Big Energy. I thought he was super last week. I think he's perfectly drawn tonight. So he's in the final. And he's got the ability, the speed. And if he just draws her right next week, he might be the greyhound to beat. But you can only win it with a special greyhound. It's a very difficult race to win. Sudden death heats tonight. In you go into the final. And it's just been won by some special dogs over the year. And over the years I've seen some of the best chasers and sprinters that have ever raced in Australia. And plenty that have got beaten in it too, James. So it's a hard race to win. And gee, we've seen some superstars when you just mentioned Highly Blessed and Rapid Journey, and you know, the list just goes on and on. Tangaloa, you know, some marvellous greyhounds have won the Cup, and I'm sure this year's will be no exception at all.
It'll be a wonderful race. I think I can speak on behalf of everybody involved in greyhound racing. We thank you for everything you've done over the years and everything you continue to do, and showcasing this in such a great way in the Neil Brown Museum. We're very grateful for.
Thanks, James. It's a pleasure, mate.
Well, there we go, Hawley. I'm with Big Energy now. If he says Big Energy, I'll listen in. I reckon Brownie's onto something there.